Hello, you're watching Everard Junction, and today is the May 2016 layout update. It's been an extremely long time since I've done a layout update because I've been working on all sorts of other bits and pieces, but as I mentioned in the last video, the layout will shortly be photographed for an article in Hornby Magazine, so I've been working very hard getting all kinds of little bits and pieces finished on the layout. So as and when you work on the layout and do all sorts of bits and bobs and things here and things there, you always end up with a little job that just makes you go, oh, I'll finish that later. And then before you know it, 2 years later, you still haven't done it, and there's about 30 or 40 other little jobs that you need to do as well. So I'll go around the whole layout and show you all the little bits and pieces I've done. I'll be starting on this main station board, as that's where the majority of the work has been completed. And there's also other little bits around the layout that I'll show you as well. Okay, so the first and probably the biggest job was the backboards on the layout. They've been tidied up and they've been repainted. They'd all been erected at different times during the layout's construction, and they'd been painted a sort of patchwork of different variations on a basic sky colour. So I went around the whole layout and just painted all of the boards and just made them look nice and neat and simple. I did have a quick go at fitting a back scene, and it sort of worked, it sort of didn't. In places the layout's got a lot of different scenery, so for example the town over there going into the backboard, and then there's the retaining wall here and the suburb scene over there, and then I've kind of made my own back scene along that bit with all the countryside stuff. So the back scene, I put one up, it kind of worked, it kind of didn't, I wasn't sure if it really added anything. So in the end I just decided to just keep it simple and just go with a plain painted finish, and to be honest I actually think that looks better. It's just nice and simple, doesn't draw the eye away from the layout, but at the same time there isn't horrible brickwork or junk sitting in shot. So I'm quite pleased with how that's come out, and it's nice to have it all the same colour. It's made a huge difference to just the overall appearance of the layout. Okay, so I've done a fair few bits on the town scene. I've given it just a general sort of clean and tidy up. I've added some figures, and I've also painted the doors on a lot of the buildings, a lot of the houses. They've been painted with some Vallejo matte colours, and it just makes the place look a little bit more interesting, makes the buildings look a little bit more lived in. Something else I've also done is some modifications to the corner shop. This was just a generic made up shop, so I've changed it into a WH Smith's, and a nice old style WH Smith from the 1980s with the old colour scheme and the old logo. And that's quite a nice touch. It just dates the layout quite nicely when you look at this scene and you wonder when it was set, and you see all the cars and then you see the shop and you immediately know that it's set during the 80s. I've also added some figures here and there. There's a few different figures. I got a set of unpainted figures. They were quite nicely detailed, but they did need to be painted, and they are a pain in the arse to paint. There's one of them over there. Get him in focus if I can. That's one of them just there. Don't ask me how I painted his tie. It's very difficult, but if you've got the time and the patience, they do come out quite nicely. And they are quite a bit cheaper than buying a pack of 5 painted figures. I've also used some of the cheap sort of mass-produced Chinese figures that you can buy off eBay. They come painted in some extremely garish colours, and there's a lot of flash on them, and they don't look very good. But I had a little go with some of them, and if you paint them some decent colours and just take a bit of time to clean off the plastic that shouldn't be there, they actually come out okay. And again, I've tried to paint them in a way that sort of helps you date the era of the layout. So we've got a guy wearing double denim there, so you immediately know that this is the 1980s. I've also painted the street lights on the town scene. Gone for a silvery grey colour, tried to make them look as prototypical as possible. It's made quite a difference actually to the overall appearance. So moving down, I've done some scenery improvements in this corner. This was very bare, there wasn't a lot going on here. And again, it was one of those little jobs that I needed to do and I just never got around to it. So I've added various bits of grass, cable trunking, point motors, some cabling for the point motors, relay boxes, touched up some of the track weathering, and then made a little bit of overgrown grass in this short siding. You can see how the grass sort of creeps into the ballast there, and it just gives it a slightly disused appearance. Makes it look quite interesting. And again, I've made sure it's nice and thin and continued it along here, not going too crazy. It does look good. So moving on down here again, I've just done the same thing. All this scenery in the foreground, running right the way up to the bit I did in the previous video, is all been redone. Again, it was just too overgrown. I didn't really like what was going on with it. So the cable trunking has been detailed, and all the grass has been redone. I've added little bits of cabling here and there. It just looks a little bit better. I've also finally got round to wiring up this signal. It's got another one of my signal control boards underneath the baseboard controlling it. So at the moment it's overridden and permanently displaying red. So I can flick it and get it to display green. And then there's also a sensor in the track for when the train leaves the station for it to turn to red. And that's been another little job I've been meaning to do for a long time. But finally got around to finishing it. I've also added some foliage along the edge of the platform where it meets the ballast. And again, it just creates a slightly underused appearance and just makes it look a little bit more interesting. And again, as I've been working my way along, I've been putting in point motors and wiring, and you can see that cable that runs to the signal. Again, it's just little bits of fine wire painted black and then glued down. It makes a big difference to the overall finish. Another job I'm going to be doing is just weathering the signal gantry there. Just looks a little bit too pristine. I haven't quite got around to it yet. Something else I've also done is included some speed restriction signs, which I've made up. Just made the signs in Microsoft Paint, and the post is a little piece of brass rod that's been painted grey. And again, it just adds another little bit of detail that the layout has been lacking in this area. There's loads of those all over the place, here and there. You can see there's another one. There's another one up there. You can see the point motors as well. And I've added quite a few. You'll see them as I work around the layout. So there's the next bit of scenery I reworked. All this grass leading up to the signal box has been redone. And again, I think it just looks a little bit better than what was there previously. I've also added some Trackside Workers. These are made by Bachmann, and I've just repainted parts of them to make them look a little bit more period for the layout. They were previously wearing complete orange safety equipment with the high visibility silver flashes. Back in the 80s they wore orange jackets, but quite often you wouldn't see them completely orange, and the high visibility reflective strips were not present on the jackets either. So they just look a little bit more in keeping with the era of the layout. Moving over to the back of the layout, again I've added a little bit of foliage here and there just to add a bit of interest. The cable trunking has been repainted because it got weathered a bit too heavily when I did the track in this area, and it was very difficult to spot it. But there has always been a long run of cable trunking all the way along the back there. It's just been difficult to see it. So I've highlighted that, and I've also added some relay boxes here and there just to create some areas of interest. And then if we move into this area, obviously you can see the grass in the centre of the tracks that's been added in, which I showed you in the previous video. And again, I redid that stretch of grass that runs up there along the side of the small yard. I've also weathered the Class 08 shunter, faded all of the paintwork and made it look very much a tired and worn out machine. And I'm really pleased with how that's come out. I have done a video all about how I went about it and what I did to create the effect. That'll be uploaded as soon as I finish getting it edited. Again, cable trunking, point motors and cosmetic wiring is all present. in these areas, and again it just makes things look a bit nicer. Over here again you can see the cable trunking that was in the background just behind the Class 60. The addition of more point motors and the speed restriction signs and bits and pieces. There's just a general look up the layout, and you can just see all those little bits and pieces have just made a significant improvement just to the general way everything looks. Just looks a little bit more complete. It's by nowhere near finished, there's still more to do, but it certainly looks a lot more presentable now. Moving around to the suburb scene, I've completed a little job that's been on my mind for a long time, and that was to actually get these gardens finished at the back. There was never a fence running along the back of the gardens, and there was a big chunk of exposed baseboard where all that foliage is to the right. And again, it's just tidied it up, and it looks much better for it. And again, you can see the repainted back seam in the background, just makes things look a bit nicer, all being the same colour, smooth. Moving around to the countryside section, there's not been a huge amount of work. It's just had a general clean and tidy up. Got rid of some of the dust and some of the cobwebs, and you can see in the picture there I've added an AWS ramp, and there are a few here and there on the layout as and when they are required. But generally this area is not too bad, quite happy with it. Still a lot to do, but it looks nice and presentable. And obviously the back seam at the back was completely repainted as well, so it just sets the scenery off. Currently I'm working on this area over on the shortest side of the layout. Not had a great deal of work done over here for a very long time. There's still bits that I'm doing at the moment that you won't be able to see yet, but you'll see those in future videos. One thing I did do was finally put in my other signal gantry. When I originally made the signal gantry from ages ago, I also made another one at the same time. So I've just installed that there. Still need to sort out the fencing behind it. It's moved a little bit, but that's added a nice piece of interest to the area. There's another little bit back here that I'm working on at the moment. It's all drying at the moment. There's still a fair bit to do. I've removed the two fuel tanks that were back here. One of them went onto the new extension for the layout, and the other one here just looked very much out of place, so I've removed that one as well. Replaced it with some buffer stops, and I'm just working on the general ground cover and scenery at the moment. Something else I've also done in this area is just paint the lighting. These were originally white and looked a little bit out of place, but painted those. Again, fiddly job, but needed to be done. Nothing much has happened on the new extension. As you know, I've been working on the carriage shed for it, and although it's not finished yet, I do hope to have it in position for the photo shoot. Done a few little bits here and there, but nothing much. I added a bin. That's about it really. Not really done too much. Or when I put another parking space down there, but not too much. It'll get worked on once I have completed the carriage shed. So that's the majority of what I've been working on. It takes ages to do all these subtle little details. It really is fiddly work. It takes a very long time, but I'm very happy with how it's looking. A lot of the little jobs I've been meaning to do for months and years, but they always get sidelined by a bigger project or something else. So there's still other little bits and pieces that I haven't mentioned that I'm working on, so you'll see those as and when they get completed. Something else I'd like to get back round to is the coach lighting. Some of my carriages are all fully lit, some aren't, such as this rake in here, so that'll be something else I'll get round to doing eventually. And with the lit station and various bits of building lighting and stuff, it does look very good when operating in the dark. But again, that's all for another day. So I'll leave you with a couple of shots of the trains running on the layout, and the video concerning the Class 08 will be uploaded shortly also. So you can see how I managed to do that. Really pleased with that. I think that's one of my best weathering jobs. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, and hopefully you enjoyed this video, found it interesting. So as I say, the magazine will be round in the next few days to photograph the layout. So I've got a few little jobs to do, but that's pretty much as I've been able to get done. Didn't have a great deal of notice, so there's a few things that I would have liked to have completed, but the majority of what I set out to do I have managed to achieve, so very happy with how things are looking.